Okay, Kikito, thank you for inviting me to your studio today to do a short studio visit. I'm just blown away by everything that I'm seeing. So, your process is so interesting, and I'd love for you to talk a bit about it. And then I may ask you some questions if that's okay.
Yes, yes.
All right. So, could you start with those pieces over to your right? Just talking to me about what that process is.
Yes, the process of that technique that I use is I start spontaneously, and then I try to have a conversation with the work, with the shade that I see, and then I start to make a composition of that shade, working with the complement colors to bring the perspective back and forth. My inspiration that I use on this is a cloud. I see the cloud with the witch of the wind, and I take all that form of that shape of the cloud, and that's my inspiration to do this kind of work. And then I continue using my education of colors and that thing to make the shade more interesting.
So when you say the shape of the cloud, are you taking a photograph of the cloud? Are you just remembering
I remember
a cloud? Or
I remember it. In the afternoon, in the morning, I like to see the when the cloud, when the one gonna rain, and the sun come out, and they are a lot of interesting shade, a lot of things that just for a few moments and go. And that's the same thing that I try to make in my work. They look like a floating on the
yeah.
On,
so
on
you're
the space.
capturing the moment of the cloud,
Yes.
and then you're trying to recreate that moment
Exactly.
on the canvas. But what is it about clouds? Why are you attracted to clouds?
When I was a child, I going to a place that was a lot of garage shop, and that's the gas and the oil when you see on the water, that's bring a lot of color how you say the when a lot of color come out in the
like a prism sometimes it makes.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's a lot of color. From there I remember those color, and that connected with the cloud. The color that I remember on the arcoiris and the spring of the atmosphere, the spring.
Right.
That's I try to make in my work.
Okay.
With the cloud.
So when you're recreating that shape, like in this piece, the thing about clouds is they come, they change, and it all happens very quickly. What about this process of painting? Is this a process that happens quickly? Or I'm gonna
no,
while you're talking, just scan a little bit.
I start with the background.
Okay.
And then I when I see something, then I try to come out that part that I like it. And then it's like he told me something, the work told me something, and I try to make it. And I don't like this, I like this. And then at the end, I say I have to stop. That's it for the work.
How long? How long does that take? Is it like 5 hours?
No.
A day?
Sometimes, probably months, weeks.
Oh,
For
wow.
example, this one, when I started, I don't really like it, and I hang it on the wall, and I continue to work with another one, and someday I see something, and I have to finish this one, and then I take it. I don't have a time exactly to finish the work. I just working, and at the end I say I have to stop this one because I see the balance is working, the composition is fine for me, probably not. and
In
that's
this
the way.
one, in this section here, it almost reminds me of when the light is coming through tree leaves and tree branches. So is that a stencil that you use, or is that, how do you get those shapes?
It's a liquid painting that I made very, very water. And I put it on the canvas, and then I doing this.
Ah,
And then at the end,
wow.
what happened? I don't know.
What happens, happens.
And then from there, I start to work when it's dry, because if you work on the sand, you're gonna dead in the color.
Wow. And what's your process for naming your pieces? Artists always seem to have difficulty when it comes to naming. And also, do you start with the name, or do you wait until the work is finished and then give it a name?
When I started work, I started like spontaneously. And then when I see something, I start to thinking, what can be on the work. And I usually read when I'm working. I usually read book. I select a book or something like that, and that brings me probably a name for the work. And I like to use like a sarcastic theme, like a sarcastic on the street, or something like a laugh, or something like that. If I usually read a book like talking about life, and then from there I take some.
Wait, are you saying psychology?
Not exactly, but something like that, psychology, philosophy, and
okay.
that thing.
So that terminology, and then that. Okay, now when I'm looking at your work, I see that there's lots of different sizes, and I just saw these small pieces. Can you talk a little bit about that? Why small? Why big? What inspires you to do the small ones? Do you do them in between when you're doing the big ones?
No. What I try to do this is to try to demonstrate myself that I can control the technique and different sizes.
Okay.
Because you can make abstract. Sometimes you think it's easy, but you have to demonstrate yourself that you can make a composition in different sizes. Especially when you work in something like an accidental process. It's better if you challenge yourself to play with that you can control the technique and the medium that you work.
Wow, I really love the small pieces too. I find the small pieces fascinating. It's like a small world in your hand. And
It's
and what is, for those that aren't experienced with what they're seeing, can you talk a bit about what's happening with the paint that's creating these designs and shapes in there?
Yes, it's sometimes the acrylic do that effect. Not exactly like it is right there, because I just probably get this part of the effect, and then I make with pencil and pinks and with my hand I do the rest. I copy the rest like exactly like the same. Play with that. Sometimes I have to copy the accident in some part to make that look like the same.
So you're putting the acrylic. Are you using Floetrol or something that mixes with the acrylic, and then mixing it on the canvas?
So when I start like very light acrylic.
Okay.
Like you work like a
on primed
watercolor.
canvas? I mean, you don't have to give away your secrets, but
yeah.
just your basic process.
I start like a watercolor technique. The you start very
Okay.
light,
Yeah.
and then like we working in the oil paint. You start very light, and then you start to make a layer,
Okay.
layer, until
Okay.
That's why my color is very bright.
Yeah.
Because I come out from the back to the front of the color.
Yeah, it's extremely saturated.
It's not like throw a pen.
Yeah.
That's easy.
Right.
It's it's come out low by low and talking with the canvas what he tell me to do.
Yeah.
Until I can find the way and the shade that I like it.
It's labor intensive. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of
I
work.
usually work like 20 work at the same time.
Yeah.
And one time when I say this, I can make it this. I take another one and put it on the wall.
Yeah.
And then.
So you're
maybe
working on
3
multiple
more
things at one time.
at the same time.
Okay.
And that's why sometimes I have the same sizes, because I take one size to work with one side until I feel that I can control that size.
Okay.
And then I move to the other side and the other sizes.
Impressive. I'm very attracted to large works, and you know, when I look at, for example, these pieces, hearing about your process, I just can't imagine the hours that went into something that large. So I'm just going to take I'm not going to show you the personal areas of Kikito's loft, but I just want to take a quick scan around so that you can see this amazing loft. He's got all his supplies. He's very organized, lots of tools. And also Kikito is a silkscreen printer. He's got a whole machine here that he built that is quite a production. And out that window, I live across the street, in fact, and that's Yonkers. So, Kikito, thank you so very much for letting me come into your space and see your work and hear about your process.